And I just want to tell the audience as we get started with this, just today in the news is the fact that the Department of Justice is posting a new jobs ad today, looking for 8 new attorneys to defend the federal government in vaccine injury cases. More and more people are finding the courage to try to challenge, yes, the drug companies, which is nearly impossible, but also the federal government for forcing, and they did force these vaccines on us without the proper disclosures, without the proper risks, and ultimately without informed consent. It's a Herculean effort to get past all of the roadblocks that the government put up long ago to try to prevent these kinds of lawsuits, so that, understandably, they want pharmaceutical companies to be free to develop vaccines that would ideally cure cancer, cure Alzheimer's, et cetera. But there are serious downsides to those roadblocks. So that's where you guys come in, trying to shine a light, Teryn, on what's actually happened. And I just want to say this before we get it going. Before I took the vaccine, I thought to myself, and I said publicly, God forbid there's something really wrong with the vaccine. These geniuses who dreamed up the vaccine at Pfizer, Moderna, they're going to have to dream up a cure. They just will, because if there's some massive problem with it, they could never just sit on their hands and ignore that. Never in a million years did I anticipate that they would ignore it, that they would actively work to silence people who are raising it, that they would bury data, as has been alleged. And we had somebody on this show alleging it with respect to AstraZeneca overseas. Never in a million years did I consider people would actually potentially die from the vaccine and there would be no fixing it. And that is what Shot Dead chronicles, that you say there are people, way too many people, who took this vaccine trusting Big Pharma, trusting the government, trusting the advertising they saw on TV, and the enormous pressure to get it, and found out the hard way, they and their families, that there were serious risks. So how did you pick the families, Teryn, who you profiled in the movie?
Well, at first, we wanted to just make a movie about people that were dying from this vaccine because we knew it was happening. Just anecdotally, we were hearing stories of people that we knew passing away after getting the shot. And, just as Dr. Peter McCullough talks about in the film, when you have something that has been applied to the population en masse worldwide, even a small portion that have reactions and or die from it, that's still a considerable amount of people. So when we started reaching out and when I started contacting people and talking to them and interviewing them, it became clear to me that the most tragic, all of the stories are tragic. No matter if you've been injured or if you have a family member that has passed from the shot, all of those stories are tragic. But when I was really talking to these parents who lost their children and their babies, and I was pregnant during the pandemic, and so I know what it's like to get that pressure to get the shot while pregnant. And I know so many women that have experienced miscarriages and stillbirths and menstrual issues. So it just became clear to myself and the We the Patriots USA team that we needed to focus on the kids and the babies in this because they are the future and we need to save them. And they, for no reason whatsoever, needed a COVID shot, considering we know that they, had a 0.00001 chance of really seriously being hurt by COVID, the disease itself. So it all comes down to the kids. And we know that that's the target that Big Pharma tends to go after and things like this. And we know that once ACIP voted unanimously to put it on the recommended childhood vaccine schedule, that states were going to soon start to put it on their vaccine schedule and require parents to get these for their kids, to go to school, to be in daycare, to be enrolled in various activities. We know that women are now going to be told by their OBGYNs to add this to the lineup of shots that they should get while they are pregnant. And so we had to step in and we had to focus on the kids because they are the future and they are who matter.
The allegation that the vaccines caused the deaths profiled in the movie Shot Dead is, as far as I can tell, supported, not necessarily conclusive, but it's circumstantial evidence. It's not like an actual shooting of a gun that you could know caused someone's death. But you have Dr. Peter McCullough, he's been excoriated by the left and by the people who want us all to have the vaccine in every 7th booster. But he's been a skeptic of how safe this is pretty much from the beginning. And he's taken a look at the autopsy reports in these cases and said in the movie, I mean, I watched him, that he does believe these were vaccine-caused deaths.
Yeah, that was very important to us that it was, backed up by an expert, although we want to focus on the families and the humanity, because I think that's really what it cuts to the core of a person and, maybe makes them want to look further into things by seeing the humanity and leveling human to human with people on their experiences. We did really want to have these experts in this film to back up and support what these parents were saying. And I think it's important because, as you said, Megyn, so many people, whether they've been injured or have lost a loved one, have been told and just dragged through the mud by people, whether it's on social media, even, as we chronicle in this, the medical examiners for their various states, trying to get the autopsy results. They're given the runaround in all these various aspects. And so they have to seek outside, help to look at these autopsies to try and get answers. And we even, also have Dr. Thorpe, who's an OBGYN whistleblower, as well as Michelle Gershman, a labor and delivery nurse whistleblower. And, these people have evidence, they've done studies, they've done research. And not only that, they anecdotally see evidence every day in their practices and what they're seeing. And it's just happening so much. It's hard to ignore, despite the fact that they are trying to bury it.
That's what's so frustrating, Teryn, is that they're not open-minded. I feel like your side and I as well are open-minded. If it wasn't the vaccine, show me what it was. Explain to me what caused the death. And their side is hardcore, like, no, we're not going to talk about the vaccines. Notwithstanding proximity in time, death to vaccine, myocarditis having been found in the autopsy, blood clotting having been found in somebody who had no comorbidities, their instinct seems to want to be, shut it down. It wasn't the vaccine. That's what we know for sure, which only leads to more suspicion.
Yeah, and that's why featuring children, I think, is really important too, because we can all pretty much agree that most children are pretty healthy and don't have many pre-existing conditions, if at all. And so that's why it's important too, to show the children, to show these people, Ernest can speak on this. His son died 5 days after the shot. I mean, he's a healthy 16-year-old boy. And Dr. Peter McCullough also goes into this. Most of these kids and these teenagers have myocardial scars on their hearts and they don't even know it. So they're walking around with these scars. And prior to COVID, all of the medical advisors around the country, CDC, NIH, you name it, have on their own website, if someone has myocarditis, that they should not be participating in athletic activity. Well, now they're just completely ignoring the fact that kids have myocarditis, don't even know it. And so they go out like Junior did and runs in the park and collapses and dies. Or Tristan Martin, 18 years old, you also get an adrenaline boost in the waking hours of the morning. That's what wakes you up. That's when she had her cardiac episode and her entire body shut down and she went on to pass away. So that's why including these children and showing these are perfectly healthy kids, and then they all of a sudden pass away after receiving the shot. It's hard to ignore. And
yes. I just want to say to the audience, yes, you can get myocarditis from COVID too. Yeah. That is a fact. But what went down during COVID was most people were getting or had gotten COVID. They already had it. So they were building up their own natural immunity. They did not need the vaccine. We were told that the vaccine would prevent the spread. It did not prevent the spread. So once you've had COVID, you do not need that vaccine. That is what more and more experts came out to warn us of, though not the mainstream, that were being cited in the Washington Post and the New York Times. They were like, you need it all, get it all. And if you had known that there was a risk of myocarditis from COVID and from the vaccine as a parent, and you knew your child already had COVID, I think very few parents would have then run to get a vaccine, which increases the risk of myocarditis again. again, on a child who might already have it now. Further in that, none of this was disclosed. Parents were just told, and you feature this in Shot Dead, the advertising campaigns. It was like glamorous. You know, there was celebrities and sports figures. We still see it now with Travis Kelce. Like, get your booster without the downside risks being fully vetted, disclosed, and discussed. All right, stand by, because I want to bring in Ernest. You've talked about Ernesto Jr. And Ernest, as Teryn points out, he was 16 years old. Can you just tell us, because the movie Shot Dead does a good job of describing the fact you were a single dad, and it was just you and Junior, and the two of you, it was like you guys against the world. So just describe your relationship with your son, please.
Like I've said several times before, Junior was my best friend. We did everything together. He loved the outdoors. I would take him hunting, fishing, camping, like a normal person would do with their buddy, you know.
I've got big news from Bonner Wines. This is only for the true adventure seekers who are looking for more in their wine drinking experience than your grocery store big box wines. The Bonner Private Wine Partnership is releasing a wine so rare, it sells out practically every time it's been available. They invite you to come on an extraordinary journey to remote vineyards where a never-before imported gem has wine enthusiasts everywhere raving. Picture this: at altitudes of up to 9,000 feet, grapes defy nature's harshest challenges, thriving in poor soil, enduring extreme UV rays, and facing thin atmosphere and volatile temperature swings. The result is this one-of-a-kind extreme altitude Malbec. Now, I've arranged special access for my listeners to get a bottle of this rare wine. Here's how you do it. Go to bonnerprivatewines.com/MK, BONNER, privatewines.com/MK, and become a member of the Bonner Private Wine Partnership. But act fast, you don't want to miss your chance. Visit bonnerprivatewines.com/MK now for wine at 50% off, plus free shipping. bonnerprivatewines.com/MK today to get your wine delivered directly to your doorstep. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.